Joins us now. Kurt, those are some very impressive numbers for a veteran, let alone a rookie. Why have you been able to take to this truck series so quickly?
I think it's just a combination of having Roush Racing behind me and race trackside batteries. I mean, it's just made my job so much easier, and we've gone to a couple West Coast tracks I'm familiar with, so that's helped out.
Now, your first race was at Daytona on the high banks, 2.5 mile super speedway. You had a crash in practice, so that helped limit your test time. A couple other little incidents out there on the racetrack during the race, but you still drove to a second place finish behind Mike Wallace. What was that whole experience like?
It was probably the worst roller coaster you've ever been on. I mean, just with the troubles in practice and then qualifying, just being in a whole different world at Daytona. The place is upside down and backwards from anything I've ever been on. And it was a great place to race. Just a lot of fun to be out there with the veterans in the truck series, and just the whole weekend, and just bringing out the backup truck, the backup motor, just Roush's equipment brought us through that.
This weekend, Martinsville, you ever been there? It's a tough track. What do you think about it?
I've just seen tapes of it, just like the next 17 tracks. I've just seen tapes of it, and it just comes down to get out there during the 2 hours of practice that we have and getting acclimated with the track.
Now, considering the role that you're on, does that help heading into an unfamiliar territory, racetrack like Martinsville? Does that give you confidence for another good run?
It does, and our equipment at Bakersfield was great, and the setups are fairly similar. We're going to see what we can get unloading off the trailer with the Bakersfield setup, and work on it from there. They had a real successful run last year with Mike Bliss, so we're just going to work on it from there.
Now, you're a Southwest Touring Series champion, but Roush Racing, how did you get hooked up with Jack Roush's organization?
It was a very unique situation, and it's something that we've all become familiar with, and it's with the Gong Show last year. And it was 5 drivers went down to Phoenix, and they told us one of us is going to have the job at the end of the day, so it was a real fun-filled event.
Now, once you got the ride with Roush, though, did you feel a lot of pressure put on yourself to perform well, knowing what that whole organization is all about?
Not necessarily. They've given me just a great feel to be within the truck series and to be in their truck. It already feels like home with the crew members living in Livonia, Michigan. It's just a great feeling to be able to have this solid ride, and it makes my job easier.
Now, you're 21 years old, a lot of racing ahead of you, so what kind of goals have you set for yourself over the next few years?
Next few years, hanging out in the Craftsman Truck Series, seeing what we can do, and start winning races maybe by the end of this year, and come back for a successful sophomore season, and moving on to the Busch Series, and maybe even the Winston Cup in maybe 6-7 years, but right now it's the Craftsman Truck Series.
Well, it looks like you got the world by the tail right now. Kurt, congratulations on a great start, and it was good to meet you.
Thanks, nice to meet you.